Hello, I'm FX Toycat, and about once a year or so, Minecraft releases a significant content update for the game. This usually adds a lot of brand new flashy features, but it also usually changes the existing features in Minecraft, making some of them easier to do because of brand new advancements to the game. But we also see certain features getting harder to use in future Minecraft updates because they make it harder or rarer to obtain. An easy example of this would be the enchanted golden apple, where they removed the recipe for it, making it impossible to craft, and also the jungle tree, which was made rarer in the Minecraft world generation, not just once, but twice now. And yeah, because of these features which are made significantly harder to do after updates, I figured I would help you to prepare for the 1.16 update on an existing world by sharing all of the huge survival changes you should be aware of, because obviously this is a Nether update. So this is a pre-Nether update world. It's the stronghold below default C to be precise, but even though it looks exactly the same, and for the most part it is, there are 3 different changes to the overworld in this update you should know about. The first is the fact that ruin portals will only spawn in brand new chunks generated after 1.16. If you load in these chunks right here prior to the Nether update, then what you won't be able to find a ruin portal generating in the middle of this village. You'll need to instead, make sure you don't load into those chunks. So for instance, if I stand over here, all of these chunks around me are rendering into the game. It's actually your simulation distance, so somewhere till like the cactuses or so are rendering into the game, which means if I had been as close as over here, for instance, if there was going to be a ruin portal in this chunk, I wouldn't be able to find it unless I, was staying away from it. And to explain this one a little better, how about we mention that if I'm standing over here and I know that there's going to be a ruin portal somewhere over there, or we assume it at the very least, then as long as I stay right here, at least 8 chunks away, or whatever your simulation distance is, as long as you stay your simulation distance away from something, it won't generate into your world, which means when we go into that post-Nether update, we'll be able to dig down, and what we'll find is there is a ruin portal below the surface. Most ruin portals are actually quite visible at the surface, but as you're going to see when we find one right down here, okay, we wind into a big thing right here, but as you can see, there are in fact ruin portals found below the surface. Some of these are in caves, which I kind of like because it's kind of like a stealthy cave update, I would say. But yeah, look at that. We got ourselves this lovely, below ground ruin portal with some gold blocks, with some obsidian, and sometimes even with a chest nearby too. Ah, there it is. Just like my desire for a cave update, these golden leggings are hard as a rock and slightly more durable than you'd expect. The second thing that has changed between versions is you'll notice that there are fewer shipwrecks in 1.16. At least right now that is only for Java, but it is likely to come over for Bedrock. They made shipwrecks and they made other underwater things slightly rarer because they felt like they were too common in the aquatic update, so they rolled that back. If you want to find a lot of shipwrecks and you want to find a lot of underwater ruins because you like the heart of the seas they can contain and the other sorts of loot, do so now. Explore your oceans now. Even if you don't go to the bottom of the ocean, if you load in those chunks and you load in where those shipwrecks or where these ocean ruins are, they will stay there after this update because your existing chunks will never change, even if there is an update that comes after there. So yeah, just keep in mind that if you want to find shipwrecks, now is the best time to explore your oceans to their fullest, which I'll admit is a very niche desire, but it's something you might want to do regardless. So the third change that is happening to the overworld in this update that you'll need to adjust to is the biggest, but also the hardest to spot and the hardest to do anything about or take advantage of, because all of the underground is changing. Here is what the underground looks like right now on this seed. Just in front of the spawn, you can see there's some gravel, but what's that? When you check out the exact same seed after the Nether update, there's iron there instead. If we look into the back of the cave, we can see how it's stone followed by some andesite right now, diorite, I get them confused, but the point is it's the white funny block that ends with ite, followed by some granite, followed by some stone, but what do we see? Oh, also some iron, and then a zombie, it seems, with a hat. But after the Nether update, you can see how it's coal, it's granite, very much not diorite or andesite, and then, it gets different over here because there's no iron ore. The entirety of the underground has changed, and I would actually say, even though it's kind of weird and jarring that every seed has changed, and they still haven't explained precisely why, this is one of those features that actually makes it slightly easier to get diamonds as of the next update. So if you want a lot of diamonds and you intend to mine for them, which is not the most efficient way in Minecraft, sadly, as much as it should be, hashtag we need a cave update and for diamonds to be mineable again, but if we leave that to the side, if you want to mine diamonds, the best time would be after this update, not before. But let's talk about the Nether, shall we? Because there's lots of changes you can make to your overworld, but they're all going to involve blocks that are found in the Nether, so let's open a Nether portal here in this village, and let's show you how it's different between updates. Because here is what the Nether looks like pre-update. As you can see, it's a big old Netherracky mess, which a lot of people don't like. I mean, when you compare it to the Nether update in terms of aesthetic, it just looks worse than it does post-Nether update. I mean, besides the fact that this same seed spawns in a Soul Sand Valley, most seeds are going to be better because they have more variety, as opposed to just having this whole kind of ugly Nether by comparison, right? But there is a few key things to mention that are much easier here before the Nether update than they are afterwards, and to explain why, let's show you this same seed again. And let's mention how there are 5 biomes that you can find in the Nether. I'm going to mention that a lot of times because it's key to notice that because there are 5 biomes after this update and 1 biome before, if you liked the 1 biome that Minecraft did have before, it was called the Nether in 1.14 and 15, and it's called the Nether Waste in 1.16. If you liked the existing Nether, it's important to explore as much of the world as possible, and if you don't like the new Nether, if you hate the Crimson Forest or the Soul Sand Valley or the Warp Forest, or you hate something about the Basalt Deltas, if you dislike the new biomes in Minecraft, or you're really worried about having a huge Soul Sand Valley, because these do exist, and in my opinion, this is so much worse than the old biome, then you can explore as much of your Nether as you want to be old as you want to right now. But even if you have a taste in Nether that really makes you like every single brand new Nether biome, and you're excited to have as many of those as possible in your world, as few as the existing ones, the advice is not don't go to the Nether as much as you can, because obviously, you know, like you need to go to the Nether at some point in a survival world, especially given that we've still got at least a couple of weeks till the update. So instead, my advice is to take advantage of the existing Nether, because it does have a couple of key benefits. Because even though, you know, the Nether after this update has roughly the same amount of Nether quartz, as you can see, when you're in a Soul Sand Valley, it's much harder to find that Nether quartz, because most of the Nether is covered in this Soul Sand. It's very hard to find Netherrack, and given that you need to see Netherrack to see Nether quartz, even though Nether quartz is found in roughly the same amount of places, deep below the ground and deep above the ground, getting to the Nether quartz in a Soul Sand Valley, or getting to the Nether quartz in a Crimson or Warp Forest, because they're covered in their respective blocks, Soul Sand / Soul Soil, or the Crimson, you know, Nilium, or the Warp Nilium, because these biomes are covered in those blocks, it's much harder to find, you know, Nether quartz in these biomes than it is in the Nether Waste. It's also harder to find Nether Gold, but you can't find that prior to this update. But to explain this one more directly, let me just say that even though there's the same amount of Nether quartz, it looks like there is so much more because it's all very accessible in the Nether Waste biome, and therefore, if you want Nether quartz, if you want like hundreds or even thousands of blocks, it's very important to mine as much of it as you can right now. And if you don't mind, you know, like not having as much access to the new biomes, explore as much of your Nether as you want to right now to get this Nether quartz. You're giving up Nether gold, and you're giving up a diversified Nether, which, you know, I think there are a lot of benefits to, in exchange for Nether quartz. But if that's a trade-off you want to make, now is the best time to make it. Alternatively, what I'd say, because I think that I like the new Nether biomes, but I also like quartz, explore your Nether, but in one direction only. I, you know, I have a huge corridor in my Let's Play world that's explored. Explore in one cardinal direction for as far as you like. Try to stay straight as long as you can, and then that way, later on, you can come through, you can mine the Nether quartz. Look how much of it you can find in the old Nether, by the way, because again, when you can see this much Netherrack, Netherrack allows you to see quartz very easily, whereas you can't see the quartz that's hidden down here below the Soul Sand. So yeah, keep that in mind. Getting Nether quartz is so much easier in 1.14 and 15 than it is in 1.16. The same definitely has to be said for magma blocks, by the way. Like, you don't appreciate just how magma-y your world really is, but when you look around it, you're like, oh yeah, there's a lot of magma here. So again, you're giving up blackstone in this case, because there's blackstone and magma, and after this update, before it, there's just magma. But if you like magma, and you like Nether quartz a lot more than you like Nether gold ore, and you like blackstone, then it's totally worth exploring as much of your Nether as you can right now. Additionally, there's one other key difference between the Nether Wastes now and between the old Nether generation that you'll notice in Minecraft. So besides being rarer because it's just one of 5 biomes as opposed to the only biome, something else I'm going to recommend, because it is rarer here, is gathering Soul Sand if you can right now. And this seems like a really weird thing because, wait a minute, after this update, there's a whole biome filled with Soul Sand and Soul Soil. If you want it, you can get a huge amount of it after this update. That is definitely a thing. You can break just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blocks of it very, very easily off this update. But the biggest reason I recommend mining Soul Sand now is because it's roughly the same amount of difficulty to mine now as opposed to later, but it means you'll be prepared for this update, because in 1.16 there is an enchantment called Soul Speed. This allows you to walk much faster along Soul Sand. In fact, it allows you to walk faster on Soul Sand than you can walk normally on other blocks. Just to prove that, right now, we're not running, we are walking. If we run as well, you can see the insane speeds that we can pick up, and obviously this has an effect on the boots, but the speed that that you can get in Minecraft using soul sand and using this soul speed enchantment is really, really great. So why not give yourself a bit of a treat? Why not be prepared to make one of these soul sand highways through your nether by grabbing the soul sand right now, and that way you don't have to tear up an entire biome with your shovel later down the line, because you can already have the soul sand that you need right now ready to go for after the update. That is something that you might want to do, prepare for 1.16. It's not necessarily easier to get it now, but it is something that will help you be more prepared. I would even go as far as saying if there are 2 points in your nether you'd like to connect faster and you don't want to use blue ice boats because that has downsides with it, then what you might do right now is dig a giant tunnel ready to place that soul sand, or soul soil if you want to mine it after this update, down into, and that way after it comes out you can immediately start zooming around your nether, or indeed if you want to, soul speed is not limited to the nether, you can do so in the overworld as well. Speaking of the overworld, actually, there's one big thing you can do to save yourself a lot of time and hassle after this update, and you can find yourself some gold to get ready to trade with the piglins. The best way to find gold right now, outside of a gold farm, which I never recommend because it's very janky and very, it's a time-consuming thing that you either have if you're excited about or you don't have it. So for those of you who like exploring Minecraft and getting your resources by hand, what I recommend doing is going to a mesa biome, because mesa biomes are filled with gold. If you've never experienced this in Minecraft, here is a ravine in a mesa biome. As you can see, gold ore over there. As you can see, there's gold ore over here as well, and over here, and up there, and over there, and over there, and over here. And if we go a little down, I'm guessing there's going to be some down here as well. There's even some up here, and it goes into a little cave where, as you can see, there's more over here, more over here, more over here, and then my point is that you find a lot of gold in mesa caves. It's a fun place to go if you're looking for a lot of gold, and the reason you want a lot of gold is because if you trade gold with piglins, they'll give you not only the soul speed enchantment, which again is a pretty cool one and that you might really want, they'll give you not only fire resistance potions, which are a fun little freebie, but also they can give you netherite hose and ender pearls and just things that make your life so much easier. So in conclusion, get yourself some gold before this update so you're ready to trade with them after it. And also, just know that after this update, the link between pigs and zombie pigmen will be broken. The only way to get a pigman right now is striking a pig with lightning. Obviously, they spawn in the nether, but the whole justification is they're like horrifying, half zombie, half pig, half man kind of hybrids. And right now, that is what they are. But after this update, they are just zombified piglins. They're piglins which go over to the overworld. And in 1.16, they're breaking the link between pigs getting struck by lightning and zombie pigmen. Do you realistically want a lot of zombie pigmen in your overworld? Most of the time the answer is no. I'd actually say there's some cool benefit if you can like bait someone into hitting one of the zombie pigmen, you'll upset all of them. So if you want a huge horde of these defending your house and you can somehow convince raiders to attack it, maybe that's a worthwhile thing. Or maybe you just want to collect a bunch of these mobs while you can. It's arguably is easier after this update, but again, if you want to go around just throwing your trident with channeling on it at a bunch of pigs, you can only do that before this update and not after it, so make the most of it while you still can. The final change you're going to want to be aware of about 1.16 is that they finally fixed spawning for nether mobs. The most important and crucial one is to do with the wither skeletons, but a lot of other mobs are now going to spawn correctly, which is great if you want to farm wither skeleton skulls or blaze rods or any other item from something that you're going to find naturally around the world, but it's awful if right now you just assume that like, oh, no ghast spawn in the nether, no blazes spawn in the nether, there are no magma cubes in the nether. You're going to have to watch out for those sorts of mobs after this update, because nether spawning is being overhauled hugely on bedrock, and as a result you're going to find a lot more mobs in the nether even if you kill them, because again the spawning before this update has been broken for so long I just assumed it was intentional, but they've now updated the spawning to match Java, which means now, coolly enough, wither skeleton farms will be possible, but it also means the nether becomes more dangerous. So if you have a lot of builds, just protect them, put some cobblestone or glass or whatever you need to put down now to protect ghasts and other mobs from destroying your stuff, and indeed the most important stuff anyone can have, which is your life stuff. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope there's something in it that you enjoyed. If you did, you can like it and let me know. You can share it if you really liked it, and please do consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this. Let me know what you thought of the editing also in the comments down below. Always trying some new things on this channel, and that is one of them. So, yeah, if you have any feedback about that, good or bad, put it in the comments. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time with all of the other videos talking about 1.16 and the future of Minecraft, because I love me some Minecraft updates, and you can learn more about those here on this channel. Okay, goodbye.